Marcus Chen kicked a small rock as he walked through the thick woods behind his home. The 8-year-old boy loved exploring these forests on Terra Nova. His parents always told him to stay close to their research station, but the woods called to him every day after his lessons were done. The afternoon sun filtered through the tall trees, making dancing shadows on the forest floor. Marcus hummed a song his mother taught him while he looked for interesting bugs and plants. His parents were scientists who studied alien life forms, so Marcus knew more about strange creatures than most kids his age. A loud crash echoed through the trees, followed by the sound of breaking branches. Marcus stopped walking and listened. Smoke rose from somewhere deeper in the forest. His heart beat faster, but curiosity won over fear. He ran toward the sound. After pushing through thick bushes, Marcus found a large crater in the ground. Steam and smoke rose from the hole. At the bottom lay a strange metal object that looked like a giant egg, but it was cracked and broken. Sparks shot from damaged parts of whatever it was. Marcus carefully climbed down into the crater. The metal object was warm to touch, and he could see it was some kind of small spaceship. His parents had shown him pictures of different alien ships before. This one looked like nothing he had ever seen. A soft sound came from inside the broken ship. Marcus pressed his ear against the metal and heard it again. Something was alive in there. Without thinking about danger, he looked for a way inside. He found a crack in the ship's side that was just big enough for him to squeeze through. Inside, the ship was dark and filled with strange smells. Broken glass and twisted metal covered the floor. In the corner, something moved. Marcus pulled out his small flashlight and pointed it toward the movement. What he saw made him gasp. A creature lay curled up against the wall, bleeding from many wounds. It looked like a dragon from his storybooks, but also like a giant insect. Hard, dark armor covered its body, and long claws extended from its hands and feet. Strange blue markings glowed faintly on its skin. The creature was about his size, maybe a little bigger. Its breathing was shallow and quick. One of its arms bent in the wrong direction, clearly broken. Green blood pooled beneath it. Marcus knew he should be scared. This creature looked dangerous, with teeth like knives and claws that could easily hurt him, but all he could think about was how much pain it must be feeling. His parents taught him that all life was precious, no matter how different it looked. "Hey there," Marcus whispered softly. "I want to help you." The creature's eyes snapped open. They were bright yellow and glowed in the dark. It tried to move away from Marcus, but was too weak. A low growling sound came from its throat. "It's okay," Marcus said, moving slowly. "I won't hurt you." "You're hurt really bad, aren't you?" Marcus remembered the first aid kit his mother always kept in his backpack for their nature walks. He carefully pulled it out, trying not to make sudden movements that might scare the creature more. The alien watched him with those bright yellow eyes. Marcus could see intelligence there, and pain, and something that might have been confusion. It probably had never seen a human before, just like Marcus had never seen anything like it. "My name is Marcus," he said as he opened the first aid kit. "I live near here with my mom and dad. They're scientists. They help sick animals all the time." The creature made a clicking sound, almost like it was trying to talk. Marcus wished he could understand what it was saying. He started with the worst bleeding wounds, using gauze to stop the green blood from flowing. The creature tensed when Marcus first touched it, but then seemed to realize he was trying to help. It stopped growling and let Marcus work. "You're not from around here, are you?" Marcus asked as he carefully cleaned a deep cut on the creature's arm. "Your ship crashed pretty hard. You must have come from really far away." The alien made more clicking sounds. Its voice was strange, like wind chimes mixed with the sound of breaking glass. But somehow Marcus thought it sounded sad. Marcus used his water bottle to clean the wounds and wrapped them with bandages from the kit. The creature's broken arm needed more help than he could give, but he made a simple splint with sticks and tape like his father had taught him. "There," Marcus said when he finished. "That should help a little, but you need real medicine and a doctor." The creature looked at its bandaged wounds, then back at Marcus. Something had changed in its yellow eyes. The fear was gone, replaced by what Marcus thought might be gratitude. Marcus sat back and really looked at the alien for the first time. Despite its scary appearance, there was something beautiful about it. The blue markings on its skin pulsed gently like a slow heartbeat. Its armor was not just protection, but seemed to be part of its body. When it moved, Marcus could see powerful muscles beneath the hard shell. "You're amazing," Marcus said with honest wonder. "I bet you're really strong when you're not hurt." The creature tilted its head, studying Marcus just as carefully. It reached out one clawed hand and gently touched Marcus's face. The touch was surprisingly warm and gentle. The alien made a soft sound, almost like a cat purring. "You understand me, don't you?" Marcus asked. "Maybe not my words, but you know I'm trying to help." The sun was getting lower, and Marcus knew his parents would worry if he didn't get home soon. But he couldn't leave the injured creature alone in the crashed ship. "Can you walk?" Marcus asked, gesturing toward the exit. "I want to take you somewhere safe." The alien tried to stand but fell back down with a sound of pain. Marcus moved to its side and let it lean on him. Together, they slowly made their way out of the broken ship. Getting out of the crater was hard work. Marcus was small, and the creature was weak from its injuries. But step by step they climbed up the rocky walls until they reached level ground. The research station was not far, but carrying the wounded alien took a long time. Marcus's parents were away on a research trip for 2 more weeks, so the station was empty except for the medical supplies and equipment they kept there. Marcus helped the creature into the small medical lab where his parents treated sick animals. He found stronger pain medicine and better bandages. The alien watched everything Marcus did with curious eyes. As the night grew darker, Marcus made a bed of soft blankets on the floor. The creature curled up gratefully, its breathing already stronger than before. "I don't know what to call you," Marcus said as he sat beside his new friend. "You look fierce, like a warrior from space." "How about Zeph?" "That sounds like a strong name." The alien made its clicking sounds again, but this time they sounded almost musical. It touched Marcus's hand with one careful claw. Marcus smiled. He didn't know what kind of creature he had saved, or where it came from, or what would happen when his parents returned. All he knew was that he had found a friend who needed help, and he had done the right thing. As Zeph fell asleep, the blue markings on its skin glowed softly in the dark room. Marcus watched over his new friend, feeling something he couldn't quite understand. It was like he and Zeph were connected now, in a way that went deeper than words or species. Outside, the stars shone down on Terra Nova, and somewhere among them was the home Zeph had come from. But for now, this was where Zeph belonged, safe, cared for, and no longer alone. 3 months had passed since Marcus found Zeph in the crashed ship. The alien had healed quickly, faster than any Earth animal Marcus had ever seen. Zeph was also growing bigger every week. What started as a creature about Marcus's size was now taller and stronger, though still young-looking. Marcus spent every day with Zeph, learning about his new friend. Zeph was incredibly smart. He figured out how to use human tools just by watching Marcus. He learned to open doors, turn on lights, and even helped Marcus with his daily chores around the research station. The most amazing thing was how they could understand each other without words. When Zeph touched Marcus's forehead with his clawed hand, pictures and feelings flowed between them. Through these touches, Marcus learned that Zeph's real name was something that sounded like clicking and wind chimes, Kethvar Thraxus. He was young, like Marcus, but came from a place among the stars where his people were warriors and hunters. Zeph showed Marcus images of his homeworld through their mental connection. It was a dark planet with purple skies and floating cities made of black stone. The people there all looked like Zeph, armored, clawed, and fierce. But in Zeph's memories, Marcus saw something that surprised him. These scary-looking aliens cared for each other deeply. They protected their young and honored their elders. Marcus showed Zeph human things too. He taught him about laughter by telling jokes and making funny faces. Zeph's first laugh was a strange sound like bells ringing underwater, but it was real joy. Marcus showed him how to play simple games, how to draw pictures, and how to care for the small animals around the research station. Zeph was gentle with everything small and helpless. He would carefully hold Marcus's pet rabbit, Nova, in his big clawed hands. He learned to feed the birds that visited their garden without scaring them away. Marcus realized that despite looking like a monster from human nightmares, Zeph had a kind heart. But Marcus also saw Zeph's other side. When a wild animal threatened their home, Zeph moved with deadly speed. His claws could cut through metal like paper. His armor-like skin could stop bullets. His yellow eyes could see in complete darkness. Marcus understood that Zeph's people were dangerous for good reasons. They were built to survive and protect what they loved. Through their mental sharing, Marcus learned that something terrible had happened to Zeph's family. Bad people had taken over his world and hurt the ones he cared about. Zeph had escaped in the small ship, but he was alone now, far from home with no way back. "You're not alone anymore." Marcus told him one evening as they sat watching the sunset. You have me now. We're like brothers. When Zeph touched his mind to understand the word brothers, his eyes glowed brighter. In his people's language, there was a special word for what they had become, Kethmaran. It meant a bond deeper than blood, a connection that could never be broken. Among Zeph's people, such bonds were rare and sacred. Marcus felt it too, even though he didn't have a word for it. Zeph wasn't just his friend anymore. He was family in a way that went beyond what humans usually understood. They were connected in their minds and hearts, sharing strength and courage. The peaceful days ended when Marcus's parents returned from their research trip. Dr. Sarah Chen and Dr. James Chen were kind people who loved their son. But when they saw Zeph, they panicked. Marcus, get away from that thing. His mother screamed when she saw the alien. It's okay, Mom, Marcus said, standing between his parents and Zeph. This is Zeph, he's my friend. He won't hurt anyone. But his parents had studied alien races for years. They recognized what Zeph was from old military reports and warning files. Zephyrians were legendary across the galaxy as unstoppable killers. Entire star systems had been destroyed by creatures that looked exactly like Zeph. Son, that's a Zephyrian, his father said, his voice shaking. They're the most dangerous species in known space. It could kill all of us without even trying. Zeph sensed the fear and anger from Marcus's parents. He moved closer to Marcus, ready to protect him if needed. His claws extended slightly and his armor plates shifted. To the adult humans, he looked like he was preparing to attack. Stop, Marcus shouted. You're scaring him. Zeph isn't dangerous. He's been living with me for months. He helps me feed the animals. He plays games with me. He's never hurt anyone. Dr. Sarah Chen watched carefully as Marcus stood between them and the alien. She saw how Zeph positioned himself to shield Marcus while avoiding any threatening moves toward them. This wasn't the behavior they expected from a legendary killer. Marcus, his mother said more gently. How long has this creature been here? 3 months, Marcus answered honestly. I found him crashed in the woods. He was hurt really bad, so I helped him get better. We take care of each other now. Dr. James Chen noticed something else. His son looked healthier and stronger than when they had left. Marcus moved with more confidence and his eyes seemed sharper. Living with the alien had changed him somehow. Show us, Dr. Chen said quietly. Show us how you communicate with it. Marcus looked at Zeph and nodded. Zeph carefully placed his hand on Marcus's forehead. Both of them closed their eyes and a soft blue glow appeared around Zeph's markings. The adult humans watched in amazement as boy and alien shared their thoughts. When they opened their eyes, Marcus was smiling and Zeph made his musical clicking sounds. He says he's honored to meet you, Marcus translated. He wants to thank you for raising such a kind son. He promises he will never let anything hurt me. Dr. Sarah Chen felt tears in her eyes. She had spent her life studying alien behavior, but she had never seen anything like this. The bond between her son and this creature was unlike anything in the scientific literature. The Galactic Council needs to know about this, Dr. Chen said to her husband. A peaceful Zephyrian. It changes everything we thought we knew about them. But before they could decide what to do, alarms started blaring from their communication equipment. Emergency signals were coming in from space. Dr. Chen ran to check the messages while his family waited nervously. There's a galactic fleet heading this way, he announced. They detected Zephyrian DNA signatures on Terra Nova. They're coming to investigate, and they have orders to eliminate any Zephyrian presence they find. Marcus felt his heart sink. The galaxy thought all Zephyrians were monsters that needed to be destroyed. They would never listen to explanations or give Zeph a chance to prove he was different. How long do we have? Dr. Sarah Chen asked. 3 days, maybe 4, her husband replied. Marcus looked at Zeph, who had understood enough of the conversation to know they were in danger. The alien's eyes glowed with determination. Through their mental link, Marcus felt Zeph's resolve. He would fight the entire fleet if he had to, just to protect Marcus and his family. We're not giving up, Marcus said firmly. Zeph is part of our family now. We'll find a way to keep him safe. Dr. Sarah Chen looked at her brave son and the alien who had become his brother. She made a decision that would change all their lives. Then we better start packing, she said. If the galaxy won't listen to reason, we'll have to find somewhere else to go. Zeph touched Marcus's mind one more time, sharing images of distant stars and hidden places among the planets. Maybe they couldn't stay on Terra Nova. But the universe was big enough for a human family and their Zephyrian brother to find a new home together. As they began to plan their escape, Marcus felt the bond with Zeph growing stronger. Whatever happened next, they would face it together. The galaxy might see Zeph as a monster, but Marcus knew the truth. Sometimes the fiercest protectors had the gentlest hearts. 5 years had passed since that frightening day when the Galactic fleet first hunted them. Marcus was now 13 years old, taller and stronger from years of living on the run. Zeph had grown too, standing 9 feet tall with muscles like steel cables beneath his dark armor. Despite his fearsome size, he remained gentle with Marcus and his family. They had been hiding on different worlds, moving whenever the authorities got too close. Dr. Sarah and Dr. James Chen had used their scientific knowledge to help alien settlements with medical problems. In return, these communities kept their secrets and helped them stay hidden. Marcus had learned many things during their travels. He could speak 4 alien languages now, and he knew how to survive in hostile environments. Most importantly, his bond with Zeph had grown deeper and stronger. Sometimes Marcus felt like he could see through Zeph's eyes or know what his alien brother was thinking, before Zeph even touched his mind. Zeph had taught Marcus how to move quietly, how to sense danger, and how to think like a warrior when necessary. Marcus was still human, but something in him had changed. He was faster than other humans, his reflexes were sharper, and he could understand complex battle situations in seconds. Their peaceful life on Kepler Station ended when Admiral Korath and her fleet found them. The Andorian Defense Force had been tracking Zephyrian energy signatures across the galaxy for months. When they finally cornered the Chen family and Zeph in the station's market district, Marcus thought their running days were over. Surrender the Zephyrian and no one gets hurt, Admiral Korath announced through loudspeakers as her soldiers surrounded them. Zeph moved to shield Marcus and his parents, his claws extending and his armor plates shifting to combat position. Marcus could feel his alien brother's readiness to fight through their mental connection. Zeph would take on the entire fleet if needed to protect his human family. "Wait," Marcus shouted, stepping forward. "You don't understand. Zeph isn't like the other Zephyrians in your files. He's not a killer. Stand down, boy," one of the soldiers ordered. "That creature is a threat to galactic security." But Admiral Korath held up her hand, stopping her troops from advancing. She was an older Andorian woman with silver skin and wise eyes. Something about the scene made her curious rather than afraid. "How long has this Zephyrian been with you?" she asked Marcus directly. 5 years, Marcus answered honestly. "He's my brother. He's never hurt anyone except to protect us." Admiral Korath studied the unusual group. She saw how the fearsome alien positioned himself to guard the humans without threatening anyone else. She noticed how the human boy showed no fear of a creature that could tear him apart with one swipe of its claws. "Prove it," she said simply. Marcus looked at Zeph and nodded. His alien brother understood immediately. Zeph carefully retracted his claws and relaxed his combat stance. He knelt down to Marcus's level and gently touched the boy's forehead. The mental connection between them became visible as Zeph's blue markings glowed brighter. Admiral Korath and her soldiers watched in amazement as boy and alien shared thoughts and emotions openly, showing trust that seemed impossible between their species. When the connection ended, Marcus turned to face the Admiral. "Zeph wants to know why you hunt his people when there are bigger dangers in the galaxy." Admiral Korath felt a chill run down her spine. What does he mean by bigger dangers? Through their link, Zeph showed Marcus images of darkness between the stars. Vast ships that consumed everything in their path. Creatures that devoured entire worlds and left nothing behind. "The Devourers," Marcus said, the alien word feeling strange in his mouth. Zeph's people weren't conquering those star systems. They were trying to stop something much worse. Admiral Korath's expression changed from suspicion to shock. She had heard whispers about the mysterious destruction at the galaxy's edge. Unexplained disappearances of entire sectors. The military had blamed the Zephyrians, but what if they had been wrong? "Tell me everything," she ordered, but not as a threat. Now she spoke as someone desperate for answers. Marcus and Zeph shared what they knew through their connection. Then Marcus translated for the Admiral. The Zephyrians had been the galaxy's guardians, fighting a terrible enemy that came from outside their universe. They had been forced to destroy their own worlds to keep them from falling into enemy hands. Zeph's family died protecting everyone, Marcus explained, his voice sad. His people are still out there fighting alone because everyone thinks they're the monsters. Admiral Korath felt the weight of galactic history shifting in her mind. If this was true, then her people had been hunting their protectors while the real enemy grew stronger. "Can you prove this?" she asked. Zeph clicked and whistled in his musical language. Marcus listened carefully, then nodded. "He says yes, but we need to go to the edge of the galaxy. That's where his people are making their last stand." Admiral Korath made a decision that would change the course of the war. "Then that's where we're going." The journey to the galaxy's edge took 2 weeks aboard Admiral Korath's flagship. During that time, Marcus and Zeph worked with the ship's crew to prepare for what they might find. Marcus helped translate Zephyrian tactical information, while Zeph shared his knowledge of Devourer weaknesses. The crew was nervous around Zeph at first, but they quickly learned that he was nothing like the monster in their fears. He was careful around smaller beings, helpful with ship repairs using his great strength, and protective of everyone aboard. Several crew members began to understand what Marcus had known for years. Zeph was not their enemy. When they reached the galaxy's edge, they found a war zone unlike anything in recorded history. Massive Zephyrian ships battled against dark vessels that seemed to absorb light itself. The space between stars was filled with debris and energy storms from countless battles. "By the stars," Admiral Korath whispered as she watched the desperate fight. "They've been holding the line this whole time." A damaged Zephyrian cruiser limped toward their fleet, its hull scarred from battle. Admiral Korath ordered her ships to provide assistance, an action that would have been unthinkable just weeks before. The Zephyrian ship's commander was an ancient warrior named Thekvar, scarred from decades of fighting. When he saw Zeph aboard the Andorian vessel, his eyes blazed with joy. In the Zephyrian language, he welcomed the young warrior home. Through Marcus, Thekvar told them the truth about the war. The Devourers were scouts for something even worse, an invasion from another universe that wanted to consume all life in their galaxy. The Zephyrians had been fighting alone for 30 years, buying time they hoped would never run out. But now time has run out, Thekvar said through Marcus's translation. "The main Devourer fleet arrives soon. We cannot stop them alone." Admiral Korath looked at Marcus and Zeph, thinking about everything she had learned. A young human boy and an alien warrior had created something new, a bond that could bridge the gap between species. "You won't be alone anymore," she promised. "It's time for the galaxy to unite." As Admiral Korath prepared to contact the Galactic Council with news that would shock every civilized world, Marcus felt his connection with Zeph growing stronger. His alien brothers shared images of hope, humans and Zephyrians working together, combining their strengths to face the coming darkness. The real war was about to begin, but for the first time in 30 years, the Zephyrians wouldn't fight alone. Marcus and Zeph had done more than just survive their years of running and hiding. They had proven that two very different species could become family, and that bond might be the key to saving everyone. Standing on the bridge of an Andorian warship at the edge of space, Marcus Chen and Kethvar Thraxes prepared to show the galaxy what human heart and Zephyrian strength could accomplish together. The Devourers were coming, but they would find a united galaxy waiting for them. Marcus was 18 now, no longer the small boy who had found a crashed alien in the woods. Years of living with Zeph and fighting alongside the Zephyrian resistance had changed him in ways that amazed even the alien doctors. His reflexes were faster than any normal human. His mind could process battle information like a computer, and his bond with Zeph had grown so strong they could communicate across vast distances. Zeph had become enormous, standing 12 feet tall with natural weapons that could cut through starship armor. But despite his fearsome appearance, he had never lost the gentle spirit that Marcus first discovered. Together, they had become the galaxy's most effective scout team against the Devourer advance forces. The war had been going badly for 3 years since Admiral Korath first united the galactic races. The Devourers were unlike any enemy anyone had ever faced. They consumed not just planets and resources, but the very life energy of everything they touched. Entire star systems had been drained to empty husks, leaving behind nothing but cold, dead rock floating in space. Marcus and Zeph had been sent on a dangerous mission to scout the enemy's main staging area. Using Zeph's natural stealth abilities and Marcus's human intuition, they had managed to penetrate deeper into Devourer territory than any previous expedition. What they found there changed everything. Hidden in the asteroid fields of a dead system, Marcus and Zeph discovered something impossible: a massive Zephyrian city ship, damaged but still functioning. It was 10 times larger than any vessel in the current fleet, and according to Zeph's readings, it was over 1,000 years old. "How is this possible?" Marcus asked as they carefully approached the ancient ship. "I thought all the old Zephyrian cities were destroyed." Zeph's clicking language carried notes of awe and confusion. Through their mental link, Marcus felt his alien brother's excitement mixed with fear. This ship was from the legends of Zeph's people, from a time when the Zephyrians ruled half the galaxy. They docked with the city ship and entered through airlocks that recognized Zeph's genetic signature. Inside, they found corridors that stretched for miles, filled with technology that made current Zephyrian ships look primitive. But most amazing of all, they found the ship was not empty. Ancient Zephyrians moved through the corridors. Being so old their armor had turned silver with age, their eyes dim with the weight of centuries. When they saw Zeph and Marcus, they gathered around with expressions of wonder and hope. The eldest among them was called Kethmiran the Keeper. She was over 2,000 years old, one of the last survivors from the time before the Devourers came. Through Zeph's translation, she told Marcus a story that shook him to his core. "The war has been going on for much longer than we knew," Marcus said to Admiral Korath through their emergency communicator. "The Devourers didn't just arrive 30 years ago. They've been coming in waves for over a millennium." Admiral Korath's voice crackled through the transmission from the fleet command ship. "That's impossible. We would have records." "The Zephyrians hid the truth to protect everyone else," Marcus explained. "Each time the Devourers came, the Zephyrians fought them alone and won, but at terrible cost. They lost most of their population and had to pretend to be dead, so other races wouldn't try to help and get destroyed too." Kethmiran had shown them the real history through ancient memory crystals. The Zephyrians had once been a peaceful, advanced civilization that loved art and learning. But when the first Devourer scouts arrived from outside their universe, the Zephyrians transformed themselves into living weapons to fight them. They made themselves into monsters to protect everyone else, Marcus said, feeling tears in his eyes. They gave up everything they were to become what they needed to be. But this time was different. Kethmiran explained that the current Devourer invasion was not just another scouting wave. This was the full force of an entire universe that had consumed everything in its own reality and was now coming to devour theirs. "The enemy we're fighting now is just the advance guard," Marcus reported. "The real invasion hasn't even started yet." Through the ancient memory crystals, Marcus learned why this invasion was different. The Devourers had been studying their universe for centuries, learning its weaknesses. They had discovered that the different species never truly worked together, that fear and mistrust kept them separated. "That's why they're winning this time," Marcus realized. "They counted on us being afraid of each other instead of helping each other, but..." Marcus and Zeph represented something the Devourers had never encountered before, two completely different species becoming true family. Their bond was so strong that Marcus had gained some Zephyrian abilities while Zeph had learned human creativity and compassion. Kethmiran studied Marcus with ancient eyes that had seen the rise and fall of civilizations. She performed tests that no human had ever experienced, scanning his mind and body with technology that was older than human civilization. "Amazing," she said through Zeph's translation. "The boy has become something new. Part human, part Zephyrian, but more than either alone." The ancient keeper showed Marcus something that made his heart race with excitement and terror. Deep in the city ship's core was a weapon that could destroy the Devourer main fleet. But it required something that had never existed before. A perfect bond between species that allowed them to share not just thoughts but life force itself. "The weapon needs a connection stronger than anything our people have ever achieved," Kethmiran explained. "It needs the trust and love between species that you and young Kethavar have created." Marcus felt the weight of the galaxy's future settling on his shoulders. He was just a human boy who had made friends with an alien, but somehow that friendship had become the key to saving everyone. Over the following weeks, Marcus and Zeph worked with the ancient Zephyrians to understand the weapon. It was not a device that destroyed through violence, but one that could sever the Devourer's connection to their own universe, trapping them in empty space where they would slowly starve. But using the weapon would require Marcus and Zeph to link their minds completely, sharing their life force in a way that might kill them both. The bond they had built through years of trust and friendship would have to become something even deeper. "Are you scared?" Marcus asked Zeph one night as they prepared for the final battle. Zeph's musical language carried notes of determination mixed with gentle affection. Through their mental link, Marcus felt his alien brother's thoughts clearly. He says he's not scared of dying, Marcus said to himself, translating Zeph's words. He's scared of not being able to protect the people we love. Marcus felt the same way. The bond they shared had taught him that being brave didn't mean not being afraid. It meant caring about others more than you feared for yourself. As the Devourer main fleet approached the galaxy's edge, Marcus and Zeph prepared to attempt something that had never been done before. They would try to merge their souls completely, becoming a single being with the strengths of both their species. If they succeeded, they could save everyone. If they failed, the galaxy would fall to an enemy that consumed everything in its path. Standing in the ancient weapon chamber surrounded by technology older than human history, Marcus Chen and Kethvar Thraxus prepared to discover whether the love between a human boy and an alien warrior could be stronger than the darkness between the stars. The final battle was about to begin, and everything depended on the bond between two brothers who had chosen each other across the vast differences between their species. Marcus was 25 now, standing in the command center of the first joint human-Zephyrian space station ever built. 7 years had passed since he and Zeph had successfully used the ancient weapon to sever the Devourer fleet's connection to their home universe. The victory had cost them both dearly, but it had saved the galaxy and proven that cooperation between species was more powerful than anyone had imagined. The weapon's activation had changed Marcus and Zeph permanently. For a terrifying moment during the battle, their minds had merged completely, becoming a single consciousness that was both human and Zephyrian. They had survived the experience, but neither was quite the same afterward. Marcus could now see in the dark like a Zephyrian and sense emotions from great distances. Zeph had gained human-like creativity and the ability to understand complex social situations that had once puzzled his warrior mind. More importantly, their successful bond had inspired others. Across the galaxy, humans and Zephyrians were learning to work together in ways that amazed everyone. Marcus had become an ambassador, helping to establish the partnerships that were transforming both civilizations. The morning reports. Ambassador, said Dr. Lisa Vega, Marcus's human assistant, as she handed him a datapad filled with updates from across the galaxy. Marcus smiled at the title. He had never wanted to be a diplomat, but somehow that's what he had become. Who better to represent human Zephyrian cooperation than someone who had lived it his entire adult life? The reports were encouraging. The joint colony on New Kepler was thriving, with human families and Zephyrian clans living side by side. The shared research station at Proxima Beta had made breakthrough discoveries in faster-than-light travel by combining human innovation with Zephyrian engineering. Most exciting of all, the first generation of children raised in mixed communities were showing abilities that neither species had possessed alone. "Where's Zeph this morning?" Dr. Vega asked, looking around the command center. "Leading the morning training session," Marcus replied. "We have 30 new human volunteers who want to learn Zephyrian combat techniques, and 40 young Zephyrians who want to understand human strategy methods." Marcus walked to the observation deck where he could see the training facility below. Zeph moved among the mixed groups of humans and aliens, his massive form somehow gentle as he taught them to work together. At 14 feet tall now, Zeph was one of the largest Zephyrians alive, but children from both species felt safe running up to him for help or encouragement. The sight filled Marcus with pride and joy. This was what they had fought for, a future where species differences made everyone stronger instead of driving them apart. "Ambassador." "Chen to the communication center," came an announcement over the station's speakers. "Priority message from the Galactic Council." Marcus made his way to the communication center where Admiral Korath's image waited on the main screen. The Andorian leader looked tired but hopeful. "Marcus, we need you and Zeph for a new mission," she said without delay. "We've received signals from beyond our galaxy, from the Devourer home universe." Marcus felt his heart skip a beat. They had thought the Devourer threat was over when they severed the invasion fleet's connection to their origin point. "What kind of signals?" Marcus asked. "Not hostile," Admiral Korath replied quickly, seeing his concern. "They're asking for help." The explanation that followed was almost impossible to believe. The Devourers had not been evil conquerors by choice. They were refugees from their own universe, fleeing something even worse than themselves. When the ancient weapon had trapped them in empty space between universes, they had finally been forced to face what they had become. They want to surrender, Admiral Korath explained. But more than that, they want to learn how to live without consuming other life forms. They're asking specifically for Marcus Chen and Kethvar Thraxus to come negotiate with them. Marcus thought about everything he and Zeph had learned about building bridges between different species. The Devourers represented the ultimate challenge, teaching cooperation to beings who had spent millennia consuming everything they encountered. It could be a trap, Dr. Vega warned when Marcus explained the situation to his staff. It could be, Marcus agreed. But what if it's not? What if we can end this cycle of destruction forever? When Marcus discussed the mission with Zeph, his alien brother's response was immediate and clear. Through their mental connection, Marcus felt Zeph's determination mixed with compassion. They had spent their lives proving that enemies could become family. Now they had a chance to do it on a scale that could affect multiple universes. The journey to the space between universes took 3 months aboard a specially modified ship that could travel through dimensional barriers. Marcus and Zeph were accompanied by a small team of diplomats and scientists from multiple species, all volunteers who believed in their mission. What they found in the void between realities was both terrifying and heartbreaking. The Devourer fleet floated in empty space, their dark ship slowly dying without any source of energy to consume. The beings who had once threatened an entire galaxy were now desperate and starving. The Devourer leader was an ancient entity called the First Hunger. When it communicated with Marcus and Zeph through complex energy patterns, its message was simple and devastating. We have forgotten how to exist without consuming others, the First Hunger said through the translation equipment. We were once like you, separate beings who chose to work together. But we faced an enemy that forced us to become devourers to survive. Now that enemy is gone, but we cannot remember how to be anything else. Marcus felt tears in his eyes as he understood the tragedy. The Devourers had made the same choice the Zephyrians had, transforming themselves into living weapons to fight a terrible threat. But unlike the Zephyrians, they had lost themselves completely in the process. We can teach you, Marcus said, his voice carrying across the void through their communication system. We can show you how to find yourselves again. The process took years. Marcus and Zeph worked with the Devourers to remember what they had been before the transformation. Slowly, painfully, the ancient beings began to rediscover cooperation, creativity, and compassion. The breakthrough came when the smallest Devourer, a being barely larger than Marcus, managed to create something beautiful instead of destroying it. Using energy manipulation techniques that Marcus and Zeph taught, it crafted a sculpture of light that depicted 2 different species working together. I remember, the small Devourer said through tears of pure energy. I remember making art instead of war. One by one, the other Devourers began to remember too. They had been artists, scientists, explorers, and teachers before the great enemy had forced them to become consumers. With help from Marcus, Zeph, and their team, they started the long journey back to what they had once been. The project became the greatest diplomatic success in galactic history. The former Devourers, now calling themselves the Restored, became allies and teachers. Their knowledge of multiple universes helped advance science and exploration in ways no one had thought possible. Marcus and Zeph returned to their space station as heroes, but more importantly, as proof that any conflict could be resolved through understanding and patience. Their bond had grown even stronger through the years of working with the Restored, and it had inspired thousands of other cross-species partnerships. On Marcus's 30th birthday, he stood on the observation deck of their station watching human and Zephyrian children play together in the garden below. Some of the children were adopted restored beings, former Devourers who had chosen to live as part of mixed families. Zeph joined him at the railing, now ancient by Zephyrian standards but still strong and vital. Through their mental connection, Marcus felt his alien brother's contentment and pride. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I hadn't found you in that crashed ship? Marcus asked. Zeph's musical language carried notes of amusement and deep affection. Through their bond, Marcus understood his response perfectly. He says the universe always finds a way to bring the right people together. Marcus translated to himself with a smile. He thinks we were meant to find each other. Looking out at the stars, where former enemies now work together to explore new worlds and build better futures, Marcus had to agree. The galaxy's fiercest alien had become his brother, And that bond had shown everyone that the strongest force in the universe wasn't weapons or technology. It was the choice to see family in strangers, to find hope in the darkest places, and to believe that love could bridge any gap between different kinds of life. As the sun set through the station's transparent walls, Marcus Chen and Kethvar Thraxis stood together, watching over the future they had helped create, a future where being different made everyone stronger, and where the bonds of chosen families stretched across the stars.